Can I just say one quick? Oh, too
Go
late.
ahead, say it. Well, hey, welcome. We're live now. Welcome to Bunto's Dull Playing Man Pandas. I'm here with my excellent guests, Dave Herrings, Kazume Fowler, and Pyong Yang. And Lindsay's on her way back, I guess, when she straightens out her microphone. We'd like to wish everybody well, coming up for the big weekend. And the subject today, we're going to just play around with this. We don't know if it's going to take off or not. It's like, what is different when an atheist talks about seeing God? How do they handle themselves different? Go ahead. What were you going to say, Dave?
Sorry, totally forgot now. It's gone off my mind.
Me too.
Oh, I was just going to comment on your Revelation hangout with Brother Joe, but
Oh,
now
please,
we're
go ahead.
live. No, I thought you were
Yeah,
very
let's
good.
talk about that.
Okay, we can talk
Mm,
about that.
The recap.
The recap. Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Dave. What
Dave.
did you like about it?
mm, it was. Don't put me on the spotlight. I can't remember now. What did you? Yeah, no, look, I enjoyed it. I thought there were some really good points made, and I think what you said was interesting about it being a, um, you either believe or you're going to be an antichrist. You're going to, like it's sort of
Right.
forcing people into staying the faith in some ways. Well,
Yes,
in
that's
lots of
Pyong.
ways. That's mm,
Yeah, Pyong brought that point up. I remember the point that I think I scored points on was the let's treat sacred scripture, truthfully and see if we can test it. See if we
yeah.
can conjure, the evil God. Um, just ask the question. When you read the Bible, you know that there's more evil people that are in line with Satan than God. So, since there's more of us, why can't we, pull up old Satan, conjure him up? Have you
Mm,
ever tried to do that and try to do anything satanic to see if anything, like play with the Ouija
absolutely.
board?
Saying our father backwards.
Yeah, did it work?
No,
How about
unfortunately.
you, kids? Have you done anything satanic?
No, not really.
How about you, Pyong? Have you ever done anything satanic like played a Led Zeppelin record?
I'm open for anything. Okay, well, you got something planned? No,
Well,
man, I don't believe the shit is real, dude. So it's that would be like like me praying to the Easter Bunny or something. I mean, I don't believe in it, so I'd never do something like that. No, but
okay, a
Well,
pentagram.
the fact that you mentioned the Led Zeppelin thing is really really weird because that's all I was thinking in my head. I was like, well, that's the only thing I could think of that I ever did where I was just like, when I was still in this mode where I was kind of wondering, when I was still having leftovers of religion, and I was I popped in this tape into my car and said, well, let's listen to Stairway to Heaven really loud. Ooh, I'm a bad guy. It's like my early 20s, you know? It's just weird that you happen to mention that.
Hmm. Well,
That's about it.
when I was coming up, we had Kiss, so that was Kids in Satan's Service. So, but the thing is, like, I never really put that much weight to Satanism. You know what I mean? Like, I never felt like, I was gonna be ever close in line with the devil or anything like that. People call me satanic, but I never felt like, I was anywhere close to it. I was never goth. I was never really a true goth. Maybe that was what held me back.
yeah, could be.
Well, how about you, Pyong? I mean, were you ever into goth?
Nope. No, I was just a typical white guy in high school. I played football. I ran track. I had a short haircut, and then I did that for a while, and then I started drinking beer and hanging out with my buddies, and that became more important. That's all I did. I
So
didn't, pretty
did you ever
non.
have people in school that you thought were satanic?
No. Uh-uh. I mean, they might have the special effects going, but no, no, everybody's okay.
How about you, Dave? Any hard Satanism in high school?
Well, Roman Catholic, I think it goes hand in hand, doesn't it? That morbid curiosity, and yeah. So, but it was all just games, wasn't it? Like
A
trying
Ouija
to.
board?
I never done a Ouija board, no, but I did do silly things with other, pentagrams and shit like that, with the hope
Uh
of.
huh.
But yeah, it just seemed more tangible in a way, didn't it, Satan,
Yeah.
than like God. Like I've always found that concept really hard to wrap my head around.
I guess Satan lends himself to being conjurable.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I never was, like you watch a monster movie or a satanic movie, hey Fabio, and feel like, after, there's a little decompression after a real good horror movie where you feel like, hey, there's something weird in the house. That
Hmm.
maybe that's the closest I've come to like Satan. I watched Rosemary's Baby, and then afterwards I was so tripped out I felt like, oh yeah, Satan's watching me now, but it goes away.
What a masterpiece.
The
Rosemary.
Exorcist. Well, The Exorcist.
Brilliant film.
Yeah. Ooh. Spooky.
Have you guys seen the remastered version? It's like so good. They finally
No, I
fixed it up.
haven't.
This woman, what's her name? Aiden. Is that her name? Aiden?
Huh?
Was that
Regan.
who was it? Regan.
Right.
Regan. Right.
Regan.
She walks out like a spider. Did you see that one? They had like this gymnast woman walk out like a spider in the remake. The remaster. It's really awesome. Wow.
Okay, I have seen that then. Yeah, it's fantastic.
That is a great. That is a scary movie, man. Fabio, how you doing?
Not too shabby, thank you. How about you?
Excellent. We're talking about what happens when like an atheist encounters God, sees a revelation. How do they treat it? Do you go immediately seeing a psychiatrist, Fabio, or do you get a camera and a video so you can, verify it with hard evidence? How do you treat it as a humanist, as a scientist?
I have no idea. Honestly, I really have no idea. I think I'll love to be in the situation to to see and try to assess something. But I really don't know. It's a phenomena which I don't know. I'll try to gather as much information as I can.
Okay, how about Satan? Let's suppose you see a demon or something. How do you treat that? Same way, or
Yeah, do I recognize that it's a demon? Actually, because that's the question.
Okay.
Or is it something that I don't know and it's a demon and I just happen to not know that it's shaped in that way? I have no idea. So,
have you guys ever seen the ghost photos? Sorry to interrupt, Fabio. The photos of ghosts, and I love studying them and just seeing, trying to get the most kick-ass ghost photos. Because most of them are really blurry, but some are pretty good. I think. They're all phony. I'd say 99% of ghost photos are phony, but there's like one or two good ones.
but
double
by
exposures.
Good ones, you mean well made or not phony?
I don't know. Like one, I saw this. They went to an old Wild West town, and they were looking. They took a picture of the, the graveyard that they had there, and then they showed. It looked like this person was coming out of the ground, and I said, "Man, that really does look convincing." It wasn't like dirt was disturbed next to him. It just looked like a person coming out of the ground. And if you saw something like that in real life, I'm pretty sure you'd say like, "Holy cow!" I got to get a camera, or I'm losing my mind. What course of action would you guys take? Anyone? Open floor.
I would probably accept it on its face. If I saw something like that, I would probably say, "Wow, that's crazy," and then I would probably critically evaluate it, and maybe I would agree that it was real, and maybe I wouldn't.
Would you tell anybody?
Fuck yeah, I'd tell everybody, dude. I'd be like, "You won't believe the shit I just saw."
Like a UFO. Okay, what's the difference between seeing God and a UFO? Please tell me, Pyong.
Man, I don't know. I think it goes back kind of to what Fabio was saying. How do you know it's God? How do you have to confirm that it's God? And you have to know. And I guess you'd have to unidentified flying object. By definition, you don't know what it is. So big difference there. But I'll tell you what, man, I personally am not a big stickler for it. I frequently say this, that I would only have to be convinced to a standard of more likely than not to say, okay, yeah, let's go with God. I'd be okay with it. I don't have to have absolute. I don't have to be convinced with absolute certainty.
Well, you would become a Christian at that point.
I guess it depends on which God it is. You know, could be.
Oh yeah, that is a good point. Okay, you see
know.
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus, me and Jesus hanging out. All right.
Well,
That's
let's say
good enough.
you see, what I'm trying to get at, Pyong, is you wouldn't just say, hey, maybe I drank too much, or maybe I had a hallucination, maybe I
Right.
ate something. I mean,
you got to give him a break. You know, it's Jesus. So we'd go to the supermarket and we'd fill the trunk with bottled water, and we'd head to the Miss Blind USA pageant, and nothing better than a grateful lady.
Kiz, what do you think?
I don't know.
Okay, when you were a Christian, did you see Jesus?
No, I never did.
Anything close to, angels or demons?
No, never.
Did it, strike you that you weren't seeing these apparitions? They're like part and parcel of the Bible.
I mean, I always thought it was weird when people said they would. I'm like, this just doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, I guess there's a certain amount of questioning of stuff that's said in the Bible from an early age, but I still, always felt like, well, I have to follow it because I'd be bad if I don't follow it. So,
Okay, you were afraid of angels and demons? You're afraid of being possessed?
no.
I'm probably afraid of mom and dad or something.
Well, possession, actually, that did cross my mind a few times. After seeing The Exorcist.
I was kind of afraid of the wrath of God, so to speak.
Well, The Exorcist was like, a spirit taking over your mind. So that did have some terror. I think, didn't you mention like that movie, The Thing, Pyong, in the last Hangout?
Oh, we were in another hangout, fellas, and they were talking about nuking Antarctica, and so I was like, made a Thing reference, that's all.
Okay, well, which one was more scary in your mind, The Thing or The Exorcist?
Oh, The Exorcist, dude. The Thing was cool, but it wasn't very scary to me, but it was really interesting to think about that. Shapeshifter.
Yeah, an alien who can co-opt anything that he touches.
Yeah.
Is not as scary as a demon taking your soul over, destroying your soul.
Well, hold on a second. I agree with you. I'll be more scared by the Thing, but just because if I see someone possessed, how can I make how can I say, okay, he's possessed or he's just fucked up crazy? I mean,
crazy.
Yeah. You see what I mean? I mean, the thing which terrorizes, generally speaking, the people more is the unknown and the unexpected. So I'm expecting, a possessed people is still a person. Well, unless it starts, the head starts turning around, it's just projectile vomiting, green stuff. Okay, that will be, but that would be the scary part, not the guy all going berserk. While with an alien, or the Thing, I don't know what it is, so that will probably scare me more.
All right, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, Bro Joe, how are you doing?
Good. What's up? What are you talking about, you heathen?
We're extending from your hangout yesterday.
Oh, I feel honored.
We're going in the direction of what is most fearful. Was it being possessed by a demon or an alien co-opting your body? Which would you fear? The Thing or The Exorcist?
Wait. Fear between being possessed by a demon?
Or, like The Thing, you're just touched and he takes over your cells. You saw John Carpenter's The Thing?
Oh, God, been a while. But I get the idea.
They were in Antarctica, and they were, shooting at this dog with a helicopter. Remember that cool part? And then they took the dog into the kennel, and then he, exploded into this alien.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And then they didn't know who was the alien, so they came up with that test. Remember, they strapped them down to the couch, and they heated up the hanger with a blowtorch, and then stuck it in each of one of their samples of blood.
I'm sorry. Is that John Carpenter? Is it a remake of The Thing?
Well, there's the remake of the thing, and then there's the original. Either one, I guess. I never saw the remake.
Yeah, because the
Actually,
original has nothing to do with what the story you're talking about. So if they made a remake, it's basically another movie.
Okay, yeah, the original thing was 1950s, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, and then we're talking John Carpenter's thing. That's the one that they did in the 80s, 70s, late 70s. And then they remade that. You know that, Fabio?
Yeah. No, it's okay. I was under the impression that John Carpenter remade the same story, basically.
Yeah.
Well, since I think that demons don't exist and aliens may exist, I'll go with the demons.
Okay, demons are more scary.
Hello.
Why? Hello,
Don't exist.
Howdy. Summon converted man here.
How you doing?
My video is gonna get false flagged. That is my prophecy prediction. So everyone download and mirror it, so that when it does get DMCA'd, it will be everywhere.
Yeah, but the thing is, people may not want to mirror it because, I mean, they might want to have it, but to mirror it would get them DMCA'd too.
Well, look. Just help me out, okay? That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna fight it. I know it's gonna get DMCA'd, and I will fight it, and I will win it. But I mean, that's my prediction: is this guy's a fraud. He's been exposed, and he's crawling under his rock as I speak. He might actually figure out the kangaroo one was actually fake too. The atheism unstoppable. But see, his was more subtle than mine.
Where were we at though in the discussion?
Great. Let's see.
I
All
thought
right.
we were talking about movies.
Oh, go ahead. Young, I missed it.
No, we were talking about
I think he missed pill time.
We were talking about which is scarier, Exorcist or The Thing. I thought we were just talking about the movie, not the concept.
Okay.
Well. Oh my.
My bad. Sorry.
No, let me think. All right, guys. The thing is this. What evidence are we after, really? And I mean, if it kicks ass, I mean, if it scares the shit out of you, that's good enough. That is the evidence, correct?
Exorcist was pretty scary. I mean, I was only like 12 years old when I think it came out or something like that. It was pretty scary.
Yeah, it was creepy.
Oh, I know. It was scary when I saw. Well,
The power of Christ compels you.
right. That's a great movie. What? I don't know. Gone. Priyong, you have to take over because I just can't think straight.
Take over what? Okay.
The whole subject, change it to whatever you want.
Man pandas that play with dolls. No, man. I think. Well, we asked. Maybe we need to get Brother John to hang in on the evidence question. We were talking before, like what would convince you, Brother John, that there was some kind of divine being? You know, I told him. I said to him when Bunto asked me that question. I said to him, I'm pretty low. I don't really need a whole lot to be convinced. You know. I'm not a real stickler for it, but what do you think about that? You got an opinion on that?
For me, I mean, I can't. There's no absolute evidence for God. I think it basically comes down for me, as well as many other theists, of personal experience. You know, I can make the argument of nature, you know, and creation and all that stuff, but I know that's not good enough for the atheist.
It's really not hard from this skeptical person's perspective. Hold on, let me get my camera on for a moment. There we go. My hair's messed up. I don't care. So here's my stuffed cat. Make him levitate, God, and I will believe in you.
Yeah, good enough.
That's
an easy one.
But if a demon does it, what if the devil does it?
Fine, I'll believe in them. Okay, devil, demons, angels, God, anything out there that's supernatural that can hear my voice, please make my stuffed cat levitate. Nothing.
First come, first serve.
But
Thou
I
shalt not
have
test
the
the Lord your
ability.
God.
But I have the ability to make my stuffed cat get older.
What else do you do with that stuffed cat? I hate
Bro,
to
Joe,
ask.
yesterday, oh my god, at yesterday's hangout, did you detect some irritation at the directness of my challenging of their positions of the believers?
A little bit, because we're going a little bit off topic.
Off topic.
was-
I mean,
Yeah.
when I said there's no God, did you detect some irritation?
No, I mean, the only irritation is because we're going off topic, because we were talking about the Antichrist, and we started going a different direction. And which
But
is
like-
okay for a little bit, but, when it goes for a few minutes too long,
Well,
But I'm
okay.
not irritated. If you don't believe there's a God, it doesn't irritate me. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, okay. When I say that, do you detect irritation from other believers?
I'm sure. But do you do it purposely to get a rise out of them?
Fuck yeah, he does.
Listen, sometimes. Okay, listen, bro, Joe, this is what I was going to dovetail that whole thing that we're talking about, is that if you did actually see God, why would you be bothered by somebody who hasn't seen God doubting it? I mean, you would have so much confidence in your position that you could withstand somebody doubting, that there even is a God existing, right?
Exactly. Even when I was a Christian, I'd say I'm not called to be God's lawyer. God don't need lawyers.
Brother John, I have a question for you. Do you get your self-worth out of your beliefs?
No, not really. It's an interesting question. My self-worth. No,
That you're
that's
part
been,
of the team.
I like to see myself as part of the divine with a purpose. I feel grateful to be alive. There's self-worth in that. I don't really know how to answer. It's not yes or no, I guess. Yeah.
You feel some.
But, yeah, I feel some because it's part of me,
Okay, let's suppose that you became a hardcore atheist, right? And then you died, and then you found out there was a God. You'd feel like you made a mistake, right? I mean, you wouldn't be like puzzled.
I think it'd be very hard. I don't know if I could become a hardcore atheist. I don't. I couldn't say absolutely there's no God.
What do you think an atheist?
It wouldn't be honest. It wouldn't be an honest answer.
Brother John, what do you think an atheist is?
One who lacks belief in a God.
I'm an atheist. I'm an atheist, and I have belief in many things.
Okay, a lack of belief in a God or deities.
Do you know why I don't have belief in a God or a deity?
I don't know why. Lack of evidence.
There's a multitude of things, but I think that I don't believe because I've been trained not to believe. I've trained myself to take belief as a learning tool and not necessarily a reality tool. And everything that goes inside my mind, Brother John, happens only inside my mind. I see no positive, direct evidence for anything that is going on inside my mind to be outside of my body. That is why I'm an atheist.
Okay.
Pyong, does that make sense?
Yeah, yep. I mean, it's in keeping with my little pet theory about it all goes on in the brain for sure. So yeah, it makes sense to me.
I could blow your mind, and I was explaining this to people earlier.
Blow my mind, baby.
all right, Brother John. Would you believe in a God if no one ever taught you what God was? Are you programmable?
Are you mean saying like I grew up in a deserted island where I had no contact with anybody in society, that kind of deal?
No, no, no.
I mean,
I'm just asking. All right, I'll just put it easier. Are humans programmable?
oh yeah, yeah. And any concept is in my mind. I grant you that.
Do you see the hierarchy that the human race has, especially in America right now?
Sure.
Do you think that might have something to do with the Bible?
Yeah. I
Do you think that someone that has been programmed with the Bible that would see this structure, would they see it out of place or not normal?
wait. Say that again. I'm sorry.
All right. Say that like you have. We'll put this in like computer terms, dumbed down terms or whatever. Say you have the programming of the Bible in you, and you notice around in your world that you see proof of the Bible. You see a hierarchical order. You see a class of people that are the chosen. You see sheep. You see many things that correlate direct evidence to what's happening in the world today and the Bible. Would you believe that that would be a normal kind of environment?
I don't know, but you do understand that the God of the Bible is not my concept of God. You understand that, right?
Of course not, sir.
Oh, you don't?
No, I believe you. I believe that you.
Oh,
I don't really know you that much,
okay.
but we're programmable. Maybe you guys aren't, but I am. I can delude myself in various forms of vice and ideas that have nothing to do with reality whatsoever, and they've led me down many paths that I've chosen not to go down through my own delusion. And I see that the whole kind of idea of God is one of those that allows this order to continue. It's plainly evident in reality. And the people that I see that are strongly fundamentally Christian or strongly religiously minded approve of this because there's no actions happening, to get rid of it. And I see it as a real big mind fuck, dude, a way of controlling people.
Oh yeah, most religions, yeah, religion's been used like that for millennia.
Why are you on your spiritual journey? I started mine, John, because I was out of control, and I had no control over my actions. And I realized that the only reason why I had no control over my actions is because I was programmed not to have control over my actions. I was programmed with original sin. And when I realized that it was all made up in my head,
Mm-hmm.
the button snapped, I took the red pill, I realized there was no pill. There was absolutely nothing there. It was all in my mind, bro. And I'm a functional member of society. Everything changed.
I'd like to ask a question, if I might.
Go ahead.
Not to pick on brother too much, because he's like the only theist here. I asked this to my brother too, is the most reasonable theist that I'm aware of. If you had to choose between one of these two alternatives, would you rather there be a God and no afterlife, or an afterlife but no God?
Brojo.
A God or no afterlife, or an afterlife and no God. What happens in that afterlife?
I don't know. You just exist, but forever, I suppose. But there's no God. It's just you're there.
I'll take the afterlife with no God.
All right. Fair
So
enough.
the reward over the judgment.
I'll take the experience.
Yeah,
Because I'm still living. I'll be still living and experiencing.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kiz? Did that ever cross your mind about, God or the afterlife? You want the reward or you want the experience?
I think I'd choose the afterlife and no God. If I was to choose between those two things, I'd have the same answer.
Pyong, same thing?
I'll take Delaware for 400, Alex. What the fuck?
You
No,
can't
hey,
Delaware for 400. It's not owned by
I was
Native
just-
Americans.
I was choosing I was choosing a Jeopardy category.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. Right.
So everybody wants a reward.
My brother actually said he'd rather there be a God than an afterlife because God means more to him than anything else. So I think that I understand that because I think that our beliefs in God are biological evolution results. You know that it's hardwired into our brain, and maybe that doesn't mean anything, and maybe that's how God made it. So, that's why I'm a skeptic, because I was like, I don't know. But anyways, I think that's a good question. The other question
Doesn't a belief in God though assume an afterlife? I mean,
not necessarily. No, the Buddhism sort of has that, and really Hinduism basically does, because it's not really an afterlife. It's you're joining the whole of the universe. So you lose yourself, so you don't exist anymore. So there really isn't an afterlife for you, quote unquote. So not necessarily. You can have one or the other, or you can have both, or you can have neither. I just want a red button. If there is an afterlife, I want a red button that I can push to destroy myself in case I get bored. That's all I want.
You guys are aware that Brojo's a deist, right?
yeah, deist / pantheist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I should actually let you define that, not me.
I'm hypnotized by his avatar.
Everybody says that. I should start planting subliminal messages while I'm in here.
How do I know you're not already? I must obey. But the other question I thought would be fun to ask, like somebody like Richard Dawkins, would be, okay, here's your choice. Either everybody in the entire world agrees with biological evolution, but they also believe in some sort of God, or half the world agrees with biological evolution, but there is no belief in God at all. So you only get half of the reward, but nobody, or rather, or a third option would be nobody believes in God anymore, but everyone denies biological evolution. And just to see him squirm with those, like, no, which is the worst of the choices?
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. It just crossed my mind that he wouldn't care either way. Because, I mean, he's like, I don't know, he's not so much an evangelizer for atheism. It's just a person that wants to call bullshit on the God delusion. That's the way I look at it.
I think he would want the world with the more acceptance of biological evolution, because that's his job. So,
what do you guys think? Is that what he prefer people to be on? His wavelength, or he really wouldn't even care?
I think evolution and the God question are two separate modes of thought that have nothing to do with each other.
Anyone?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, talking for Richard Dawkins, I'd probably think he would go with the no God, and then they could deny the theory, because that would just be ignorance versus delusion. But I don't know. Interesting question. You'd have to ask him. I tell you what, Deconverted Man. Also, I would later on. I would like to hear your story about your DMCA troubles.
Well, I'm predicting that I'm going to be DMCA'd.
All right. Well, we can talk about it later. I'd love to hear the story.
All right. I might not be. I'm just saying I expect to be.
Revelation.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Well, let me think. Why does it matter that a believer is convicted in his beliefs, that he actually, in his soul, knows that there's substance there? Like Lyric was saying, that a person can be programmed to think one way, and he's really just falling back on the program. Isn't that what you're saying, Lyric? Just, he was brought up one way.
The program is the lack of abstract thinking, of correct abstract thinking. Most of the Abrahamic religions lock you into a form of deduction that ends up getting people really messed up in how they run their life. They turn into sheep and they don't turn into the shepherds, if you understand what I mean. That's my real problem with it.
Okay, Lyric, do you think it bothers believers when somebody doubts their position, or they just...
Yes.
Okay, it bothers them.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Green was there. Okay, go ahead.
The brain at any specific time the only way that the brain operates is to have the condition that it's in at that particular time stay in that particular position, because at that particular moment in time, that is what's holding it together. So as you're going on in life and you come across a situation where your beliefs are challenged, an emotion comes up and your brain automatically locks and it says that I cannot operate at this particular time because I do not know how to deal with this emotion, and this brings up feelings that I don't understand. So it automatically locks the person out. That's the problem with the deductive reasoning, because they don't understand what they're doing.
Okay, Kiz, are you there? Let me ask you: did you avoid hardcore atheism and hardcore atheistic questions when you were a believer?
Well, the thing is, when I was truly a believer, I was, it was before I was like 17. So nobody really asked those kinds of hard questions.
Okay.
I mean, I'm almost 42, so I mean, back then there weren't many places that people would be asking those in the first place. So.
Okay. Okay, so what age did you get to when the whole thing caved in?
Probably around when that whole thing caved in. I mean, I was really questioning things by the time I was 17, but by the time I was like 19 and 20, it was just like, that's all bullshit.
Pyong?
I mean, I first started to question at 12 when I had sort of I don't know whether you'd call it an out-of-body experience or a hallucination, but what I saw completely clashed with everything that I had been taught about religion, and it was from that point that I really started questioning things.
All right. Pyong?
Yeah. In answer to the thing that you asked earlier about absolute devotion and what I believe they gain from it, what I believe a believer gains, and again, you're probably sick of hearing my pet theory, but what I believe that gains them is security in survival, and not in some kind of abstract, ambiguous way, but it assures them a position in a social group. Even if it doesn't actually guarantee them a position in a social group, which I would argue it doesn't, that's the mechanism, I believe, in the human brain that is being keyed into when they're absolutely standing by their faith, when they're absolutely manifesting conviction in faith. It has more to do with staying in a group. Again, the threat of religious dissociation is always looming over their head like the sword of Damocles. Okay. And so when they say, no way, I'm a believer, that's it, you'll never convince me, they're essentially asserting, I'm with these guys.
Okay. Now, just to quickly interject here, Pyong, this can happen with like people that are into UFOs and...
See, that's what I don't know, because it's not the benefit isn't as clear with regard to UFOs and Bigfoot and stuff like that. But
I figured they're a part of a big, UFO community. And when you start doubting it, maybe I'm thinking about the UFO person that has the social disassociation problem. Then they would say, well, yes, UFOs are real because they're afraid of getting kicked out of the UFO community. See?
That could be.
That's what I think.
Look, they're real because the government doesn't want you to know that they're real.
But
conspiracy theorists, so forth.
Keep in mind what I pointed out. It actually, that assertion, or in my opinion now, that assertion that they're going to say, I am absolutely convicted in order to stay in the group, might not actually ensure them a position in the group, but it's that part of the brain that is making that behavior occur. You see, the big, bulky social cognition circuit in the brain that is saying, you are the last surviving descendant of an unbroken chain, and one thing that we've figured out is that you stay with the group, you survive. You see what I mean? So that asserting that conviction might not actually be of benefit to them in their life, but it's that part of the brain that encourages or motivates that behavior, in my opinion. That's just my pet theory.
So, well, let me ask you this. Kids, have you ever been that closely associated with a group where you feared being, removed or leaving it?
Yeah, I mean, but it wouldn't be.
Would
well,
it
I
be
mean,
religion?
that's even probably happened here on YouTube, where I, would have a number of followers because I would have a certain opinion about something, and then when new facts came up and I changed my views, suddenly all those people are against me. So, I mean, I guess I've, had that kind of thing, but I guess I just believe in a policy of truth and being honest about how I view something that I've learned to not care as much.
Oh man, I didn't know that. I'm unsubscribing. I don't like the truth.
An example of that for me would be I was in AA for a long time, and that was a group where I thought that I could not live life without, dude. And it's not the case.
We need a secular AA thingy. Anyways, I gotta go, guys. Bye, everybody. Love you all. Sub, comment, whatever. I'll do the same to you. Blah. Join my 1 minute skeptic if you want to email me. Blah, 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 blah. Bye.
Jesus, dude, is this your video outro or something?
Unless until we have a logically coherent argument, we must continue to be skeptical of our...
Remember to thumbs up.
Good night.
See you later.
Okay, AA, how long were you in it, please?
Most of my 20s.
So 9 years, let's say, or maybe 8 years?
Yeah, off and on, yeah. Okay,
so you felt the fear. I mean, how did you reconcile, get over it?
When AA is like a church, pretty much. It's a non-denominational church that deals with alcoholism. And when I was in the group, most of my problems had to do with socially. I have problems socially interacting with people, and I found people there that were willing to accept me for who I was and for my fear of my own alcoholism, of my own bullshit. They were willing to see past the bullshit, and I thought that was an amazing thing, dude. And the love that I was instantly given, that a lot of people also get from Christianity or from church or stuff like that, that was given to me, and it worked out into my brain, after being into it so long, that it was very cult-like. And
right.
Sense of self-worth. And after leaving AA for a while now, I'm 34 now, I've been out for like 5 or 6 years, I'm able to love myself now and not have my issues be a humongous problem in real life.
Well, that's great, but just to ask, how did you do the hurdle? I mean, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Did you just step out yourself, or did something happen that you reacted to?
I just stepped out myself. I try to be intelligent, and I try to be aware of my surroundings and how I act. And at that particular time in my life, it was better for me to not be in this group than to be in it.
I see.
It was doing more harm than good at that point.
You reminded me of when I was in my last relationship. At the very end of it, they brought a third person in, and weed is still, if I was to choose any sort of drug, it would be weed.
Okay.
But that person didn't like the fact that I did it, and I was willing to try to stop. And he's like, well, NA is the only way, and so he got me into that. But then he was all abusive, really, really abusive, and I left that relationship. And then I continued to do the NA thing. And that's when my life went so far in a downward spiral than ever because NA basically teaches you to feel as bad about yourself as possible until you give it up to God to take care of your problems. And you know, I was under the impression that I would be a failure if I stopped going to the meetings, that type of thing. And so I guess, you know, I eventually just had to try to get a bit more of a self-esteem, and eventually I stopped going, and then eventually I had the realization in August of 2013 that my own conscience is my own and is not some sort of higher power, and then I was able to finally get my life together again. But it took 6 years to recover from the concepts from 12-step programs.
So a big period of decompression from that. Pyong, is this making sense to you as far as your theory of social disassociation?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does. And congratulations, Kiz, for that, for working that out, man. That's good on you for that. And I'm sorry it took, you know, going through that for you, but. Did you end up stopping weed, or you still smoke weed, or what?
I still like every night, every other night I'll have, you know, now I'll just have like one hit or something like that. You know, it's not much.
Oh man, that's living right there. Every night, yeah, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, but when it comes to, I mean, that program, the whole concepts of 12-step programs, almost caused my suicide multiple times. It was just the worst. I cannot speak more against something as far as any sort of religious programming than the 12-step type of methodology, because again, it teaches you to feel as bad about yourself as possible so you can give it up to something outside of yourself instead of actually trying to get a self-esteem and to work on yourself.
Almost sounds like a cult.
I think it is. Personally, I think 12-step programs are a cult.
Isn't that something?
Well, the thing that came to mind... Okay, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I never went to a 12-step program per se. They used to have a thing in the church called an overcomers meeting. But from what I'm gathering from you know, their philosophy, it seems that even though you might have not be drinking for 10 years, you're still calling yourself an alcoholic.
Right.
So there's a whole warped sense of identity there, you know?
It's kind of the same thing that religions do. Mm-hmm. They give you a warped sense of self-image and self-worth, and then they give you a means to get out of that self-image.
Yep.
Well, what comes to my mind, I had a discussion about this. Somebody brought up a locus of control, that there's an external locus of control and an internal locus of control. You know, obviously everybody wants to have an internal, you know, they control their lives, but like I guess the NA and the AA, they're trying to externalize your locus of control into their power. You know, where
locus?
They can locus of control.
Locus. What does the word locus mean?
Focus. It's like where you receive
you're saying focus, not locus? Because I heard locus every time.
Locus, locus of control. Yeah, it's a psychoanalytical term. It's like where the commands are coming from. Is it coming from inside you? Are you the person giving the command, or is it coming from an external source? That's what they mean by locus. So with the NA, they want you to give your life to God, so they want to externalize, you know, where you're getting your commands from. You're getting it from, you know, I guess NA and AA is a church, right? A cult. They tell you what to do once you're joined in, or you know, how much to contribute. Do what they want you to do. I mean, okay, well, you look at things like Jehovah's Witness, right? You know, going door to door. They tell you what to do. Anyone? I know. I have like no mind.
No. I'll share a funny story. When you know, as far as the AA thing, like I was saying, the church I went to, they had a thing called overcomers meeting. So they would put, like, you know, they had a small marquee outside the church, and then, you know, you can only fit so many letters, you know, and they had things going on throughout the week. So Monday was their overcomer meeting. So what they would put on the Monday would be drugs and alcohol, 8 p.m.
I love it. I love that church.
Sounds like a good time, dude.
Oh, the neighborhood gave him blasted them for it.
Oh, that is hilarious. Well, all right. So, okay, so we get off God talk and talk about movies or what?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Let me think. Okay. Stuff that is actually scary. Okay. Are we at an age now where you're not scared anymore by movie shit? Anyone? Or can you get scared at the movies?
It freaks. Well, I don't go to the movies, but I'll watch Netflix. Saturday night, late at night, I'll turn on Netflix and I'll watch these PG-13 startle movies, the found footage stuff, and they have many what I refer to as PMs, poop my pants moments. Where they'll turn the camera around and there'll be a ghost with the big black eyes and the open mouth, and yeah, that freaks my shit, man. Every time I don't care. I see that and I jump, Well, I don't want to go to the can.
That's more of a startling thing, though, than a creepy, scared. Thinking about this is scary.
Right.
Well, demonic possession was scary way back in the day. I don't think now.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing I lost. I mean, I lost all the ghost stories. I lost all the vampire stories. All that shit, just went right out the fucking window. It just doesn't affect me at all.
Well, now there's zombies. Do zombies scare you?
No.
Yeah, I'm not scared of movies anymore. Movies just tend to be very predictable.
You know what movie still scares me? I mean, or I have effects of it. What? Psychological ripples that still bounce back and forth. Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's a great startle movie. I mean, the head comes up, through the bottom of the hull. Remember that one?
No, fuck swimming in the ocean, man. Never.
Yeah,
no
a lot of
way.
people stopped going in the ocean because of that. Yeah.
I don't swim in the ocean. I have a huge fear of the ocean.
Yeah, fuck it. Those things eat us.
Because of sharks.
Yeah, fuck yeah, sharks. Well, and alligators and piranhas and.
Well, did they go through the animal kingdom with each movie? They had piranha, and I'm sure they had gator movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Piranha was a good one. Did you guys see that one where the guy was fishing and the fucking ate his legs, and his friend came over and pushed him over, and he had like skeleton legs? It was like, fuck yeah, that was scary. Yeah. That's always a great movie effect when they, come up behind the guy and he says, "Hey Charlie, how are you?" And he turns him around like half his face is off or something. That'll scare your shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Demonic possession, that's gone. I guess Satan is gone. I mean, okay, can we come back to Satan movies, or are they gone forever? There's never be the 70s again? Because Satan was so big in the 70s.
Yeah. I did see a kick-ass devil movie, Ty West. It was called House of the Devil, I think it was. And it was this theme piece where it was, a period piece, I guess you'd call it, where it was set back in the 80s.
They had nudity?
I don't know if they popped out any titties in that one or not, but maybe. I don't think they did actually. But it was a good movie. I think it was called House of the Devil. I'm almost certain it was. I like that Ty West guy. He's kind of a newer director.
Ty West. Have you guys seen From Beyond and Reanimator? That director. Reanimator. There's been a couple of Reanimator movies.
I'm not familiar with the Reanimator director, but I know that it was based on the work of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, it's all Lovecraft. Does Lovecraft scare you guys? It's good stuff, to me.
I haven't watched it.
I have enough scary things in my mind to add to them. I've never been a real fan of gore or violence on TV or scary things like that. It'll just get in my subconscious, dude. I know I'll stay up all night and imagine crazy shit, dude. It's just not worth it.
It's all that programming.
Hard to go to sleep when you see something like that. You remember the Faces of Death? Did you guys ever watch Faces of Death?
Ugh, gross, dude. Yeah.
It was fake. To me, it was mostly fake.
Yeah, but it was still gross, man. I didn't like that movie.
Hey, kids, have you seen Faces of Death?
Nope.
I saw it. I remember. Yeah.
What do you
I
guys
don't remember
think?
the movie. I just remember it was gory. Yeah.
Gore.
Yeah.
I remember seeing one scene where a guy was on a nail bed, and then he had like another, like it was a
Stepped on him.
yeah, and he went through the nails and whatnot, and holy shit, dude.
Oh man. Well, there's like several faces of death, man. But I just remember the first one, and it was so fake. Like I don't know if you guys took driver's ed in high school, but remember they had that movie where they show you what happens if you don't wear seatbelts. You know, type movies. Anyway, yeah. What is the use of this type of cinema besides escapism? Isn't it good to escape reality through gore, Pyong?
Oh, I don't know, dude.
Like seeing a guy's head get chopped off by a plate of glass?
Ew. Oh, like in The Omen? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't know. I don't know if that's cathartic or not. I mean,
It is sort of way if you think about it.
yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know why people like horror movies. I kind of like them for this, the startle factor. That's kind of entertaining to me to get engaged like that, and to have it impact me. I think it's kind of fun. But yeah, I don't really get scared. Like you were asking about H.P. Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft, it's not scary per se. It's just really interesting to me.
Yes, very interesting stuff.
And so maybe that's more like it. Like it's just another story, But no, I don't think the gore is that attractive to myself. Like the what are they? The fucking Hostel movies? Ugh, no.
I've never seen it. Are they good?
Well, I obviously don't think so.
Have you guys seen them Hostel movies? Hostel? I guess not.
It's like torture porn.
Torture porn, really? Wow, it's that bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, man. So.
Nobody wants to see somebody beheaded. I mean, now that's what this ISIS people do, right? I mean, they just put out these videos of people getting beheaded. It's like a gore statement to like beat down your audience who have to watch this stuff.
Imagine if there was an Alice in Wonderland, a version of Alice in Wonderland where when they say she says off with their heads, they get out a Muslim extremist. Okay, sorry.
Oh boy.
Remember Scared Straight? How about that? Remember that movie?
Yeah, that was the prison movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have a copy of that. I watched it. Yeah, the copy I have is Scared Straight 25 years later, and they show you who, despite the movie, they're in jail, right? And in some of the convicts that actually left that jail. You see the scariest shit convicts. Guess what? 25 years later, they're walking the street, right? Hey, he's my neighbor.
and the kids are in jail?
Yeah, and the kids are in jail, and the guys are out. But, yeah, I mean, you have to scare the shit out of people to reach them, correct?
Either that or you're scaring people to control them.
Well, okay, well, it failed, didn't it? I mean, the kids are in jail.
All of them? What percent?
Not all, just 2.
Oh, 2 out of how many?
What was it, about maybe 15, 12 kids?
Okay.
But,
well, normally, how many bad apples are in a group of 15? Just in real life, Maybe 1 or 2 are kind of scumbags.
So there you go.
Yeah, did it make any difference at all?
okay, so you'd rather make a horror movie or you'd rather make, a feel-good movie? E.T. I mean, Spielberg did Poltergeist, and he also made E.T., so he did both.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably rather make feel-good movies, I guess. Depends on the feel-good movies. Are we talking like Hallmark romances? Hallmark Christmas romance movies?
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking about, the whole concept. If you make a horror movie, you want to just scare people to reach out to them that way.
Mm-hmm.
But with a feel-good movie, you just want to say, oh, look how wonderful everything is. Sentimental.
So like every single Adam Sandler movie ever made, pretty much. They're always like upbeat and like they tell you a story about like this couple that end up something and there's some sort of conditions that happen and they just end up falling in love and happily ever after.
I've never seen an Adam Sandler movie. Yeah,
Dude,
I'll take your word for
every
it.
Adam Sandler movie's like that. They're all like feel-good comedies that like portray the same exact storyline, but just the shit's different, you know?
Oh yeah, Pyong, what do you think?
I'd rather do the feel good movies, I think. Be honest with you. I mean, it depends on the feel good movie. Yeah, probably so. Like I said, man, horror movie is lost to me. You know, there's no spirits, there's no ghosts, any of that bullshit, you know. And that just fucks everything up as far as horror goes. It's all out the window. So I guess I would do like feel good movies. Like let's get together and have
Yeah,
fun.
me too.
There's
Feel
no
good
point in
movie.
making like
Something
no
inspiring.
No Country for Old Men or the Hitcher type movie, right? You'd rather make a nice, you know, what's it called? The Ex-Wives Club or whatever. The First Wives
Ex-Wives.
Club. The First
Fucking
Wives
nuts.
Club, right?
That's an inspiring movie to you?
Well, I don't know.
That's uplifting.
I never saw it. Wasn't it a happy movie?
No, what about Jesus? I don't even know what a happy movie would be. Like Remember the Titans or some. I don't even know if that would be
I
one.
don't know.
Something like or Apollo 13. Something I don't know. I don't know. No, I just can't. I can't get into horror movies anymore. Just
Yeah,
can't
me
do it.
neither.
Well,
The only thing I watched recently was Stripper Zombies or something like that.
what was it? Some killer bodies on there. Good
Yeah,
women.
yeah.
What
Like,
kind of horror movies scare you more? The kind that deal with the supernatural events or the things that deal with real life?
Either or, for me.
I would say probably real life stuff. Probably, yeah.
I think the ones that are more supernaturally based influence me because I don't have any like direct kind of like evidence, and it makes my brain think of like all these crazy ass ideas. Like when I'm trying to sleep, I'll watch like a crazy ghost movie or something, and if I'm really paying attention to it, like that whole night, I'll just be like making shit up in my head and stuff. It's crazy.
But see, now I gotta ask you, Lyrics. Now you're talking about the whole deprogramming stuff and everything, and how come you still have those feelings? Why does it affect you? If you
It
felt
does,
like
my feelings don't have anything to do with my actions. Just because I have them means nothing.
but you know that it's not real.
Of course I do. I'm very well aware of it. But I have no control. I can't just be like, stop thinking about this. It doesn't work like that for me. It just thinks, and then I either say, hey, this is interesting, or it's not, and I move on. Sometimes I get stuck in the fear, and I like it a lot, and I'll sit at night, you know, after a movie, and I'll make myself want to feel like this because I like the feeling, the exhilaration of scaring myself. You know, there's definitely a pleasure in doing that.
So it's like going on a amusement park ride or a roller coaster or something like that.
Escapism.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's the point of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like adding extra layers of reality to your brain, but they're not really there. They're just inside your brain. It's a roller coaster ride. It's a picture show. You just got to make sure that you're in the driver's seat at all times.
I guess one could have a preference for the movie. You know, you can go science fiction or fantasy.
Hey, we were talking about Adam Sandler. I was just pulling up some of his movies to try to refresh my memory. But Bunto, yeah, you should. A couple here I've seen that I thought were pretty good. You have Click, Wedding Singer. I thought was good, and what was this one? Was it Blended? Blended, yeah.
Well, wasn't there one where he played a Mexican guy? That was kind of a reach.
50 First Dates was good too. I thought that was nice.
See, I didn't like 51st Dates. I thought it was like it was just a script that was been played so many times. You know, it's the romantic comedy kind of thing. I can't stand romantic comedies.
Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore were some of his early ones that people thought highly of, I think.
Happy Gilmore was the one where he had to go like to high school or go through school again. Is that right?
That was Billy Madison. Happy Gilmore, he was a golfer.
Billy Madison was a fucking riot. That was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny.
I guess I just stopped watching movies. I mean, the last movie I saw was like The Avengers.
Yeah, that was cool.
I watched one movie last year, The Avengers.
I think the last movie I saw in the theaters was Half Baked, if you remember that far back.
Oh, with Chappelle?
Yeah, that was the last time I really went to the movies.
I like that movie.
I think I saw Gangs of New York, too, when that came out.
Oh, God, you had to suffer through that.
I saw the Rocket Raccoon movie, whatever the hell that was called. You know, whatever, the Guardians of the Galaxy. And then I took my nephew to see that. And then the one before that was Pacific Rim. I went and took my nephew to see that one too. So those were pretty fun.
Did you guys used to go to the movies with your girlfriend just because she had a purse? She could sneak beer in? I just remember that, sneaking beer in.
I remember smoking pot during Half Baked when we were watching the movie. The place was packed and people were smoking.
Lighting up.
Yeah, all over the place. It was a riot, dude.
Well, what town? Where'd you see it?
This was in Massachusetts back in 96, I think, when it came out. 96, 95. 96.
Yeah, the East Coast. Okay, incredible movies to see at your theater. Did you ever see Saving Private Ryan at the theater? I remember I was at Times Square when I saw that. I saw at 12 o'clock midnight. I was just like, fuck, I can't go to sleep. So I went to go see a movie, and it was Saving Private Ryan. And it was fucking mind-blowing, man.
Oh, I'll bet.
I mean, did you see it at the theater, Pyong?
No, I saw it at home.
Oh, man, at the theater, you can imagine that first opening scene.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I actually had an interesting first viewing of that movie. I saw it when I was in boot camp, and we never saw it before. It just came out, and just the feeling you got in the room was amazing, dude.
Oh my God, I can't imagine being a soldier and then watching that the first 20 minutes. It's like, fuck, what am I doing? Desertion. Yeah, I saw it twice. I saw, and then I think the next day I went to go see it because I was just so blown away the first time. It's a war movie. It's probably one of the best war movies since Patton.
Yeah, I heard that Fury was supposed to be pretty good. Have you heard anything about that? That's the Brad Pitt tank movie.
I haven't seen it.
They describe it. I watched this guy on YouTube, Corey. He's got a channel called Double Toasted, and they do reviews. They're very funny. I like them a lot. And they described it as the first part of Saving Private Ryan all through the movie. That was the whole movie.
Well, I saw it. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't get that out of it, but it was a good movie. See it.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It was a good movie that I got a lot out of was 2001.
Fuck yeah. That was a nice movie. I remember my parents took me to the drive-in to see it. I mean, a little kid. I think I was 5 years old. I remember seeing that shit. I remember any of the movie. I just remember that some of the ending scenes. Awesome movie.
I also got a lot out of Aliens. Watching the Aliens series.
Aliens too, man.
That was one of the movies that kept me up at night. The first time I watched Alien, I remember that perfectly, dude. That night I was a kid and I saw the alien come out of my stomach. I imagined it, and it just scared the fucking shit out of me, dude.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I heard a story that the actors weren't even expecting that scene. That the director purposely, I don't know, somehow there was some massive shock effect to the actors, too, who were watching that scene, who were participating in that scene.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
It looked very real, dude. For a movie, even though, I mean, you could tell it was kind of fake, but the people that were acting in it, it looked like it was really happening. It was crazy.
Well, the thing about the whole Alien that I always remember growing up, that was the first time that you had dirty spaceships. Dirty because up to then all spaceships were like super clean, and then this movie came out, everything is just like filthy as shit, man. So it was like a real trip on space travel.
Yeah, yeah. The Nostromos, was that the name of it?
Yeah,
The
Nostromo. And then that was also another movie where you had a really strong lead woman.
Yeah, Rip.
Yeah, Ripley. I like her. Whatever happened to her?
Oh, she's still kicking, dude.
Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah. They tried to play it out like 6 episodes of. Well, I guess if you count Alien versus Predator, but you know they tried to milk it. Did you guys see Alien versus Predator?
Yeah.
Yep.
But you know it wasn't as good as the fucking original.
The first two were really
Or the
good.
second,
Alien,
first two, yeah.
where they had all the soldiers come down and aliens, that one was real good too.
Yeah, that was good too.
The third one was okay. I can't remember the black guy. I believe his name was Charles Dutton. He was in the third one. He was the black guy, and there was a lot of British actors in that one. That was a very good movie. There was absolutely no story to it. It was just dealing with an alien in a prison. And what was so good about that movie was there was absolutely no story, but it was captivating because I mean all it really was Marines going down to a planet to check something out, and then all of the character acting and everything, it was amazing, dude, because they're able to take this very small linear story of probably like less than a daytime and stretch it out into this long involving kind of character-driven battle on multiple levels. You know, depending on where you're at in your life, you can see the different characters and see how they interact and how it plays in with real life. And it was an amazing movie, I thought.
Kind of like this hangout, huh? Anyway,
well, now I'm going to feel guilty because I was just going to say I'm going to bounce.
I was in a good hangout this afternoon.
I'll talk to you later.
Well, that's good. What happened at it? What was he, bro, Joe? I mean, was it God talk or something else?
It was a mixture. I just had life to do, so we had to get rid of it. But we talked about God. We talked about programming a lot. We talked about economics.
Economics. Holy cow, dude.
A lot of other stuff. I can't really remember all of it, but it was good.
Well,
I was in a fantastic fucking hangout last night after I left Brojo's hangout.
Oh, wow. What happened?
I went in and these guys were talking about, you know, they were probably like 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, something like that. And they were talking about ghosts. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go in there and talk with them. We got about ghosts, you know. And we started talking, and they let me, they were asking me quite, we started saying something about YouTube, copyright, whatever. And I told them about my background, and they were like, oh, and they started asking me questions about it. And they let me blather on for like an hour. So I loved it, man. It was fantastic.
So this guy who was in here earlier talking about his DMCA, what's all that about?
Well, probably he probably used some material from the DMCA is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. It really doesn't have anything to do with. It informs YouTube policy, but it's it's not really anything that is going to be enforced against him, I'm sure. But a lot of people talk about it as if it were like copyright law. They use it as like an analogous word or a synonym, for copyright. But anyway, what happened is he used stuff from somebody else's video.
All right.
And now he's if he's like everybody else that I ever talk to on here about copyright, he's not sure if it's okay or what he can use and all that other stuff. So I'd be happy to talk to him about it.
Okay, can they like sue you for monetary damage?
Yeah, they can actually sue you for monetary damages. Yeah, for money damages. But the thing about that is they have to register their copyrighted material before they can sue you, and any damages are only prospective from the date of first registration. So they can't even bring suit in federal court without registering their copyrighted subject matter. Not that it doesn't have protection without registration, but they can't file suit. And how many people do you know on this fucking thing who register their YouTube videos? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very, very, very rare that somebody actually gets sued.
Okay, if I copy something from TV, aren't I copying copyrighted stuff?
Yep, you sure are. Basically everything, any creative expression fixed in a tangible medium is protected by copyright law. And you have certain exclusive rights that you can exercise against an alleged infringer as outlined in, I believe it's Section 105. It's been a while since I looked at it.
Well, let me ask you this, Pyong. You know how, like, when you're watching the evening news and they'll do a story about, the kids' school and they all, what'd you say, make a fuzzy Gaussian blur on the kid's face or something? Is that, how does that liability work in there? Like, if they accidentally show the kid's face, they could get sued?
Well, there are privacy concerns, obviously, but most of the time, the intellectual property concern, typically, when they blur out faces, has to do with a right to publicity, they call it. So there's a right to privacy, but there's also a right to publicity, and that is more kind of in that was brought to my attention in trademark law as opposed to copyright. But anyway, there was an interesting case where two people went on a vacation to some Mexican beach, and they were sitting on the beach and drinking their Coronas, and they looked out, and there was this magnificent cruise ship out in the ocean right next to them.
All right.
They come back from vacation, they open up a travel magazine, and they see themselves in a photograph advertisement. And they said, look, we don't want to be in your fucking advertisement, okay? And they sued. And this happened to be in the Ninth Circuit. And the Ninth Circuit recognized, they said, you know what? If these people don't want to be in an advertisement, they have a right not to be. And so the Ninth Circuit recognized this right of publicity, or right to publicity, to control your own publicity, as it were.
Okay.
So many times when you see people's faces blurred out, it's as a result of that. As a matter of fact, like, if you're watching a fake reality show, and a lot of times they'll have these reaction shots where, like, it's supposedly somebody just in the public or in a crowd or something, and their face isn't blurred out, that's an indication that it's fake.
There you go. That's a good tip-off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then also I've seen where they blur out the T-shirt, like the guy will be being interviewed and they'll blur out the T-shirt.
Right. Marks. Yeah. Don't want to...
trademarks.
Yeah. Yep. Don't want to...
pay. They have to...
Go ahead.
I thought it's like if they showed the T-shirt, then that people who filmed it would have to pay, like, Nike or whoever for showing their logo. Is that why they blurred out?
I think it's an overabundance of caution in most cases, but they don't want to make it look like they're endorsing a particular, like a particular product endorses a movie or a show or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And there are specific problems that could lead to, but I don't think they would necessarily have to pay Nike though.
I see what you're saying. Because that's what I always thought. That's why they're blurring out the T-shirt, whatever, because they don't want to pay the people.
Well,
the T-shirt.
That certainly could be a part of it, but then there are things that are, and I would have to look this up because I'm remembering way far back. I really didn't work much with trademarks. I've registered a few, but it's been a long time. But there's a cause of action called trademark dilution, where. But that might not even apply, so I should probably not talk about that. But there are problems that could occur, yeah.
Is there any sort of television that's free that you can show on YouTube?
Well, the Sonny Bono Copyright Extension Act, which you might as well, we used to laughingly call it the Walt Disney Copyright Extension Act, because it was basically because the mouse was coming out of copyright.
Right.
Steamboat Willie. But anyway, that extended the current copyright protections to life of the author plus 70 years, or in the case of an unknown work, it is 70 years from date of first publication. So thinking about that, it's been the last time anything went out of copyright, or it's been 1940? What would that be? 1945?
You okay?
Is that right?
Right.
So, yeah, that was anything before 1945 at earliest is probably.
So if there's like a movie on AMC that's 1937, could I take clips of that and show it on YouTube?
Could be. Yeah, maybe. It depends. It depends on how people claim it, and for example, there are copyrighted. There is copyrighted subject matter, like from H.P. Lovecraft, like we were talking about earlier, where the claim was made, and it's maybe a dubious claim, but the claim was made that he had a co-author. And the guy that published a lot of H.P. Lovecraft's work claimed to be that co-author.
Mm-hmm.
So, despite the fact that H.P. Lovecraft died a long time ago and many of his work should now be out of copyright, the other individual who claimed to be the co-author has exercised or claimed a copyright. And so he claims that work, or his estate now claim that work as their own, and so they'll fight over it. So it's not always clear cut, but the other way that people use copyrighted the best way is you get a license, you get permission to use it,
Right.
and there's a lot of stuff on the internet where people will grant you license to use their material, and so my suggestion would be, if you can find if you have something in mind that I got to use this Kiss song,
Okay.
if you have something in mind that is sounds a particular way, has a particular tempo, that sort of thing, or makes you feel a particular way, try to find a substitute. Try to find a substitute that evokes that same kind of feeling, but that you can find a license for.
Okay, well, this is just an example crossed my mind. Let's say I made a video and put it on YouTube with original music that I made, okay?
Uh-huh.
And then 6 months later, all of a sudden it gets a copyright notice from some corporation that intimates that it's their property.
Uh-huh.
And my thing gets blocked. So what do I do in that case? Just challenge it?
Well, what did you do again? I've
just made up an example. Let's suppose I made a video of original music.
Uh-huh.
And then, and it sat on there for like 6 months, maybe a year, right? And then all of a sudden it got a copyright notice from a corporation saying that the music within was property, their property. How do I challenge?
Well, ideally, what you should do, and this isn't really practical if you don't make a lot of money on the videos that you make, but ideally what you should do is you should collect all of your work into an anthology, and every couple of months you should not publish it, but within a few months of publication from your first piece of work up for a few months, you should collect all of that stuff and register it with the registrar.
Register it?
Yeah, register.
How much does that cost?
It depends. It's been a long time since
I've done that. I've done that recently. It's not very much to register music.
Yeah,
so it goes by the letter in the contract, like how much it usually is. Like, say you don't own the rights to the music. You own rights to the lyrics. Mm-hmm. They write down the lyrics, and then this is just like of a band and stuff. They'll write down the lyrics, and then you own the lyrics, which is the song. So
No, I'm not sure I follow it. That's not right. If you have a musical composition, that's protected by copyright, because you can have songs that don't have lyrics in them.
I know, but how they do it is you have to put in a title, and that's how you do it with instrumental music. You put in the name, and then those are classified as the lyrics of the song for the copyright. That's what I kind of get. I've done it before, and that's the basic gist of it.
Right. There is some the things that you'll have to fill out a form. You'll have to put it in the right category. You provide them 2 copies of the work that you want to register, one for the Library of Congress, one for the Register of Copyrights, and they work it out for you. And then the reason you would want to do that, Bunto, is because then, as Lyrics did, that was a very wise thing to do, actually, Lyrics, because then later on, if somebody comes and they say, hey, this is our material, you can say, nope, I registered it on such and such a date. Now you put the burden of proof on them to show that you're wrong. So.
Yeah, I've had to register. I've been in a couple bands that were decently big, and we had to copyright all of our songs and all that crap before we put the albums out, because there was issues at one time with who wrote what.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that all straightened out contractually, and it's good now. But we had to go through that process where we had to register all the songs and write down who wrote what and who did all this crap and register it through copywriting and stuff. It was a big pain in the ass, but it was worth it in the long run.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it doesn't make, it's not surprising to me in any way that you had to get burned before you actually start doing it. That's how I am. I mean, I'm not registered to practice anymore. I could be, but I just don't do that anymore. But my clients, all of them were guys who were businessmen who got burned. So then they were like, okay, we want to do this the right way. You know, how do we protect ourselves? So
yeah, I lost $3,000, dude. That's pretty much what $3,000 in one pop, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore.
Do you remember how much it cost to register? Was it $15 or $70 or?
I think it's 70, to be honest. It's
70.
I think it was like 60 per song or some crap. Like, this was a while ago. This was a couple years ago, but.
Okay. Yeah. See, like I was telling Bunto, that a lot of people, they don't make any money on YouTube, and so to register all these works, it might not make any sense to them whatsoever. And I don't think most people do register their works, frankly. And so they can't seek redress in the courts. But they can rely on YouTube policy, though, and they actually are still protected by copyright, even though they haven't registered. It's just much better to register. You know, another thing. Go ahead.
I'll occasionally put up a song on my YouTube channel, but like I don't register them anymore. This was like with bands when contracts were involved, but just for my own stuff, like no one's gonna steal my YouTube video and make $1 trillion off it. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right. Yeah, not worth it in some cases. And then if you do make a band, again, you know, if that's in your future, one thing that I would suggest you consider is trademarking the name of the band as soon as possible, and don't let anybody else control that, you know. You trademark it in your name.
Because that's what happened to Prince, right? They trademarked they got the name away from me. I had to change.
Well, I'm not sure what was going on with Prince, but you know the guy from Smashing Pumpkins?
No, but go ahead.
Billy, I think his name's Billy Morgan or something like that, or
Corgan, Billy Corgan.
Corgan, that's right. Thank you. He did it absolutely correctly, man. He fucking straight out the gate. He trademarked Smashing Pumpkins. He maintained control over all of his intellectual property, and he licensed it to the publishers. It wasn't the other way. Well, I shouldn't say that, but he did. I shouldn't say precisely how it was structured, but I will say he maintained control over all of his intellectual property. And you have people who are like fighting over the name of a band and everything. If you trademark it in your own name and continue to use it in interstate commerce through the duration of your career, you'll never have any issues with that.
Okay.
No, it'll be yours.
What Billy Corgan did was he bought out the Smashing Pumpkins name from the original band members.
Well,
and then he bought the copywriting rights from it.
No, I'm talking about a trademark.
Trademark. That's what I mean. He bought like the rights to the trademark from the band when it first started out. I think I can't remember. There was a couple people, dude, and they
there were. That's right. There were. Yes, I'm aware. There were a couple of people, but he established control over the intellectual property and he maintained it. He did it exactly the right way.
Oh yeah, he made a bunch of money off that, dude.
Yeah, that's right. That's what happens. So something to keep in mind if you're going to do something creative. Yeah, but yeah, that's really interesting stuff to me. I really love intellectual property law. It's just that, you know, I'm in the Midwest. There's not you can't really make a living on it. I mean, if you're in maybe New York or Washington D.C. or obviously the West Coast, L.A., something like that, you probably do pretty well, but. You know.
I have a question about classical music. Why is classical music copyrighted?
Okay, well, see, here's the deal. You have what Lyric was talking about before, which is the lyrics themselves and the musical composition. That's copyrighted, but the performance is also copyrightable.
Wow.
Okay. So the individual performance. And this, I might be able to explain this a little bit by talking about something that I had a fellow want me to try and do for him. He had this idea, this was like a decade ago, actually probably more than a decade ago now, that he wanted to make vending machines that would print or write to CDs. Okay. And so somebody could go into like a store and approach one of these vending machines, and they could say, okay, I want a CD and I want this song, I want Madonna Like a Prayer, and I want whatever, Blue Oyster Cult, Godzilla.
CD. Make their own mix CD.
Exactly, and the thing would spit out a mix CD. And so I said, okay. I said, I don't think that's going to be possible, but I said, I'm very happy to look into that for you. So I contacted Geffen Records and some other big publishers, and I found out what their agreements looked like. Mm-hmm. Now, if you were to, okay, so I talked about, what did I say, Madonna Like a Prayer. So if you wanted to perform Madonna Like a Prayer at a bar, you would have to provide Madonna's, the owner of that song, what's called a compulsory license fee. Okay, so, and I think the last time I looked at it, it was like 15 cents that you have to pay, like the author of the song, even if you perform it.
Oh, okay.
But if you hear on the radio or watch a video or I guess YouTube or whatever now, the song that you're listening to is actually probably owned by the publisher, by Geffen Records or something like that, and then they that's what you're hearing. That you're hearing a performance of that composition that is owned by Geffen Records. Okay.
All right.
So in the case with the mix CDs, what Geffen Records wanted was, first of all, they wanted you to pay them upfront $1 per song, 10,000 units. So they wanted $10,000 up front, and they wanted to okay the business model and have, I mean, they're a record company, they think they're living in the 80s or something. And anyway, it was a tremendous mess. So getting back to your, like, how is new classical music copyrighted still?
Right.
The performance of it is copyrighted. You see what I'm saying?
Isn't this like just Lawyerville? I mean, haven't they totally gone overboard?
Yes. It's so hard to be a musician and like make money off of your work nowadays. It really is.
As far as making money off your work, enforcing your own property rights are going to help you to make money on your work. So it's actually probably easier to make money because of the lawyers. But yes, it's very complicated. But that's not necessarily the lawyer's fault. That's the legislature.
Okay, if you just fall off the turnip truck, they're going to always take advantage of you. Correct?
Yeah. Well, you want to know how to make it really simple, Bunto?
Okay.
Use your own stuff. That's rule number one. You use your own stuff.
But I was thinking as a new artist. Okay, keep going.
The other thing is, if you want to use somebody else's stuff, make sure you have a license to use it. If you follow those two rules, I mean, here now understand. I am very aware that we have adolescent people, human beings, who have grown up watching YouTube and experiencing like Let's Plays, which are copyright infringement unless they have a specific license to use that game.
Let's Play. Okay, that's a game. All right.
You know what a Let's Play is? Yeah, that's when they turn on the game and they turn on the camera and then they have a commentary of them playing the game.
Oh, okay, like a walkthrough.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's copyright infringement. They're infringing the copyright of the video game. Whoever holds the copyright in the video game, unless they have license to use the video game. But you see, we have human beings who are adolescents now who have existed their whole life and they've seen this. And if you tell them, hey, that's copyright infringement, that doesn't make sense to them. They're like, how can that be illegal? You know what I mean? And it's because our system of staying up with the massive amount of content now that is being produced and published to social media sites like YouTube and Facebook, our method of administering that is old, and it's not robust enough to change with the times. I mean, you've got the Supreme Court who don't really take a lot of copyright cases, so there are splits among circuit courts. Now I'm getting into sausage making, so I'll stop that a little bit.
Well, no, what's interesting about it is, like, I remember in computing, there used to be this, remember people that oh, my try. Okay, let me see how I can do this for the audience. They were mostly lawyers instead of computer programmers, and they would sue people for infringement on their license. There were like some outfit, and anybody who used Linux, they would sue because they say that they had Linux derived its code from their property, and they would sue the big names, and they would get what would you say, remonstration or money from big until finally somebody called bullshit on them, and they finally went out of business. There was some outfit. It was just mainly lawyers, and everybody hated it. Sued everybody for Linux properties.
Yeah, there are people that do that. That's for sure.
But I mean, isn't that the direction that the whole industry is going in? Just being lawyers instead of like music people, just so they can, set the contracts up instead of actually know anything about music?
Well, my answer is going to be no because, I don't know about music, but my answer is going to be no. And the reason it's going to be no is we have more user-generated content now than we've ever had, thanks to the technology that's available to people. I mean, I make these stupid videos where I make stupid faces and say a gag or something I posted on YouTube. I'm actually generating content, which, was inconceivable.
Hey, you know how people buy a domain?
Well, hold on. Let me finish the answer. And as I explained, most of that stuff, almost, I can't come up with a realistic number because I have no idea. I can't even make an estimate. But I would say with some certainty that almost, the lion's share of that content is not protected by lawyers. Yes. You see what I'm saying? So it's really not that way. It's all within the purview of YouTube copyright policy and not so much the lawyers.
Well, what I was going to bring up was, how people buy domains and sit on them? Like, can somebody buy your stuff and sit on it, and then you don't realize that somebody copyrighted your material?
No, not unless you sell it. I mean, if you have copyrighted material, you'd have to sell it.
You see what I mean? Like, they buy the domain like PyongyangEric.com.
Right.
And then you want it finally, and then you realize you have to buy it from somebody.
Right. I actually have my name as a domain name. I don't have anything on it, but I have it registered, and I'm sitting on it so that nobody else grabs it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
So,
but copyright isn't like that. Copyright, like I said, think about this sentence here. Copyright protection extends to any creative expression fixed in a tangible medium.
Okay.
All right. So the minute that you have some kind of creative expression, whether it be Lindsay writing a poem or something like that, the moment she sets pen to paper or types it out and presses save, she has fixed creative expression in the tangible medium, and her creative expression is protected by copyright law in the United States. Okay?
That's good.
So it's a little bit different than the top-level domain names in the domain camping.
Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
Oh, I didn't see lyrics left. Hi, Lindsay.
I feel like shit. How are you?
I love that. I feel a little bit better than shit, but close. Why do you just bumming, Lindsay? You get depressed, honey?
I know I'm depressed because I haven't eaten anything today.
Well, don't you think you should eat?
No.
Did you take your meds, Lindsay?
Yes, I took my meds.
All right.
That doesn't change the fact that I still feel crappy.
Yeah.
Do you think if you eat, you might feel a little better?
Food is for the weak.
I'll take it. Anyway, yeah, that's... Hey, Jeff. Jeff Keller, everyone.
Hi, Jeff.
The smartest man in the room.
Oh, smartest man.
Smartest man, baby.
Well, we were talking about lawyer stuff. You're a lawyer, right, Jeff?
I play one on TV. No, I'm not a lawyer.
Okay. Well, Young,
Yo.
subject, please.
I don't know, bro. What do you want to whatever.
Well, that was interesting what you talked about. I mean, as far as like license and copyright.
Yeah. I'm thinking about I'm going to make some little bite-sized puzzle piece videos where I just introduce a particular topic like licensing and stuff like that, and maybe put those out. But I have to get motivated to do that.
Well, okay, something that crossed my mind, Jeff. Jeff, is a libertarian society a lawyer society? Is it like have twice as many lawyers as we do, or half as many lawyers as we do? Now.
Well, there would be a lot fewer laws, so I would assume there'd be fewer lawyers.
Interesting.
There need to be fewer lawyers now, man.
Yeah.
These law schools are pumping them out, and they don't have any jobs. They have massive amounts of debt.
Yeah. I think the observation that Harry Brown was a libertarian personality and candidate for president years ago. He's dead now, but he used to say there aren't really too many lawyers. There are just too many laws. So we have like I don't know if there's a book called 3 Felonies a Day, which is depicts the number of felonies that most of us commit each day without even knowing it.
3 felonies a day.
Because there's just I don't know, 16,000 pages to the Federal Register published every year, totaling in the millions, I guess, of pages, hundreds of thousands anyway. So yeah, probably a lot fewer lawyers, I would think.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, and did you for example, the Affordable Care Act was a huge piece of legislation. I'm sure you have a lot of opinions on that one, Jeff, huh?
Yeah, but one overriding opinion.
Yeah, right. Okay. Me too, frankly. We probably are pretty similar with that. But did you read any of that legislation? I didn't read the whole thing. It was a bunch of garbage. But
no, I didn't.
It was amazing to me how many provisions were actually left up to administrative agencies, regulatory agencies in that. When they passed when they actually passed it, so much of it was actually it wasn't defined. They said we're going to figure this out later.
Yeah, and that's usually the way it goes. It's usually the law is very broadly worded, and then it basically gives the discretionary power towards the executive branch to enforce these things, and of course that's just the hotbed for abuse and.
Right. Yeah.
Well, are we cutting down on abuse, on fraud, or are we generating even more fraud nowadays with Obamacare?
I think it's
Obamacare.
Legalized fraud.
So it's legalized fraud.
Yeah. Somebody once observed, it's not what's people doing illegal things. It's what's legal. That's a problem. I think Michael Kinsley used to say that.
How's he doing?
I don't know. I haven't seen him. Oh,
I haven't seen him ever since the '90s. He came down with palsy. No, the Parkinson's, really bad.
Michael Kinsley did? Oh, I didn't.
Well,
know that.
Kinsley, he had a guy with glasses. He was like he was on Counterpoint.
Crossfire.
Crossfire, yes. Well, yeah, Jeff. He came down with the same Parkinson's that the actor has.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's a we don't see.
I haven't seen him for a long time on television. Or anything.
He still writes, but he has Parkinson's bad.
Oh man, that sucks. That's bad for anybody.
Well, okay. Okay, I'm getting the notices that I have to sign up for Obamacare, right? Is it better than it was last year, or is it even getting worse?
You have to sign up for Obamacare. What do you mean?
I don't have my insurance.
Well,
I live in Texas
you'd have
too.
Okay, so you'd have to. Well, did they accept the? Well, you're either going to have to get. Well, see, you know what I just wrote for an exemption. I just requested an exemption, and they rubber stamped it.
What happened in my case is last year, remember we had the deadline all the way up to tax day?
Yeah.
And then I live in Texas, and I tried it 11 times to do it online, and 11 times got that 500 error, because Texas was just adamant about not making the website work, right? So then they went ahead and gave me the exception for free.
Uh-huh.
And then, now I'm getting the notices. Now I got to sign up till February 15th, and I was just curious if it was any better, that it was going well or not.
Well, I guess that depends. Well, what you've got several parts of it. First, you've got the healthcare exchanges. Yes, you've got a mandate now that you have to have a policy, but that's enforced through the tax code. So unless you make a certain amount of money, you don't have to worry about it. And did Texas accept federal money for Medicaid expansion? They didn't, did they?
They did not.
Yeah,
No
some
way.
states may not be enforcing Obamacare at all. Last
Well,
I heard.
they
I don't know. I don't know how that's gone shaken out lately, but
yeah, what happens, I think, Jeff, is that it's not that they don't. What the law facilitate and had a part in it that said if they wanted to set up their own analogous healthcare system, and they could do that, and then also they didn't. The way it shook down was they didn't necessarily have to create exchanges. And the other thing they didn't have to do was accept the Medicaid expansion, pardon me, Medicare, Medicaid expansion. So in Indiana, for example, I know that, which is held by a Republican governor, they didn't accept a lot of stuff, and they tried to create this kind of bullshit substitute healthcare program. So it was a real mess. But anyway, so Bunto, what do you know? What category you fall in there for? Would it be that you have to get a policy or participate in an exchange, or what's the deal?
Well, I just go from what I did last year. I'm so lazy. I better get it. But I got this killer policy for like $6 a month. It really covered me well. And they do it by colors. They do it like bronze, silver, and gold.
Okay.
And I think it was some gold policy. And I loved it.
Oh, okay.
And I was really excited, but then I tried 11 times to get it, and kept getting that 550 error, right? No, it's not working. It's not working. So I just gave up, and then I got the notice that it's like, oh, just you live in Texas, so fuck it, extension or whatever, waiver.
Yeah, I got an exemption.
Exemption.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. I hope that works out for you. Hope you get something good. That's
make the best out of it. And I hope it's something you can use. It's one thing just to have nominally a policy, but in terms of how it's actually.
Well, okay, that's a good question that Jeff brings up.
Demand goes up, but everybody's covered in Canada, but the question is, how long do you have to wait to be seen? And most people, I guess, can be seen.
Rationing, huh?
Yeah, exactly. When you raise demand. And nothing else changes. That's a recipe for
what crossed my mind was, don't they have catastrophic insurance, Pyong? Like, if something does happen, I can get some sort of insurance, from the hospital.
No.
Well, a lot of catastrophic policies that people were happy with, young people in particular, were actually outlawed. This whole business about you can keep what you have. People found out that was just a bald-faced lie. There were tons of people, friends of mine, who had catastrophic insurance. They're in their 20s. They're healthy. This is a decision adults ought to be able to make for themselves. But they're not able to have catastrophic.
Because I thought they had, like, if something happens, you could get insurance at the hospital.
Oh man, I don't know. I've never heard of that. Like ex post facto, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's like it would be like calling my house is on fire. I need fire insurance.
Well, what they want to do is they want you. I'm pretty sure that they want to start setting the groundwork for you to pay something to the medical provider. That's what I'm under impression that plan of action is. You have no insurance, you get hit by a car, and then at the hospital they'll give you some sort of, grid work to paying off, what you're going to owe these people.
Well, this whole reason why people need insurance is because of the existing involvement that's in the healthcare field anyway. So prior to 1940, most people didn't have health insurance, and guess what? It wasn't any big deal. It was only because of all these mandated benefits or tax incentivized benefits that raised the demand to the extent that it is, and have kept prices in healthcare going up because third parties are paying it as a rule. Most of the healthcare money spent in the U.S. now, prior to Obamacare, was spent by the government through Medicare, Medicaid, and all these other programs. So you really, the reason why people need insurance and all this is because of what the government has already done to raise demand, and true to form, they're doing more of what they've already done, and that's supposed to be the cure. It's like, you have cancer, more cancer is the cure. That's how they kind of treat this.
Is that true, Pyong?
Well, I have a little bit of a different take on it. I think that when you want to talk about bloated healthcare costs, there's a lot of propaganda out there about, it's because of fucking fat people, and it's because of the immigrants that go to the emergency room. They're fucking us over. But they don't talk about, you have to think about who's telling you that. They're raising your rates, and you say, why are you raising my rates? And they say, the fucking fat people.
All right.
But the industry that is telling you that returns on average a 20% rate of return to the shareholders. They pay their salaries. They pay to keep the lights on. They have all these overhead costs, and they don't talk about that at all. And then one thing that Jeff said that I agree with is a lot of these payments that are being made, the amounts of monies that are being put back, traded back and forth, are done without the patient's knowledge. They don't have any idea how much something costs. Without the doctor's knowledge, they don't know how much something costs.
I had a procedure done recently that was covered by my company insurance, and I asked the doctor, what does this cost? And he goes, well, it's not going to cost you much. I said, no, what does this cost? What does this cost? And they look at you like you have three heads. But if I was actually paying for this, I would ask what the cost is. And people say, well, you can't put a price on healthcare. Well, you put a price on food. You put a price on everything else. Yes, you can. And you can shop around. You can ask whether you need this procedure or not. Should I go somewhere else? And all of this, and none of that happens. And healthcare is unique, by the way. Everybody says, well, we have all this complicated equipment now. Well, the complicated equipment itself is coming down in price. Electronics, hospitals use computers. All that stuff has plummeted in prices. So why is it, one must ask, why is it that healthcare is so different when everything else is coming down in price in real dollars when you adjust for inflation? Cars are cheaper, electronics are a lot cheaper. Things tend to come down in price. When they first come out, they're very expensive. People buy them, but that brings the rich people tend to buy new modern things, but they bring the unit price down as soon as it becomes more optimal to charge people to sell more things to more people, and that's why they become affordable. That's why poor people have nice TV sets, nice cell phones, and live in ways that have a standard of living that people would be very envious of 100 years ago, because all those goods and services get priced down. So why is medicine different? So just to give you the very quick history, it really started during World War II. What happened was because the government was inflating to beat the Japanese and the Germans, they had to have wage and price controls. So if you were working for a company, or you wanted to get a job with a company, they had to keep you from leaving the company by offering you benefits instead of pay. So they couldn't raise your salary, but that's how really benefits became institutionalized. And that's where companies started giving their employees health insurance and stuff like that because they couldn't pay them directly. So that's how they kept people from going to other jobs, how they hired people and lured them away from other positions and stuff because they legally could not pay them more. So the war ended, but this became very institutionalized, and ever since then, healthcare is paid for by pre-tax dollars if you're a company. If you're buying for your employees, you get to buy that insurance pre-tax dollars instead of with post-tax dollars. So if you work for a company, it's much cheaper for them to get you insurance. They don't have to pay you as much. And then so you get this insurance, and you just want the best because I don't have to pay for it. I need this procedure. I'll get it done. And so there's no shopping, and there are really no incentives to reduce the prices. There are other factors too. There's licensing. That we can't have midwives can't do a lot of things that they otherwise could do, and some low level. If you have a cold, you should be able to. You don't need a 12-year med student necessarily to give you an aspirin or whatever.
You've got all the licenses to prove it.
Yeah, right. So just to finish on that note, that's really in a thumbnail. Third-party pay is probably the chief reason why healthcare is so expensive and why it hasn't come down in price in the way that just about every other consumer good has done.
How about this?
Yeah.
Okay, well, can I shoot in there real quick?
Yeah, sure. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, Pyong, you go to the hospital, emergency or something, and then, you come out okay, and you get the bill, and for aspirin, they charge you $50 per aspirin. And
it's fucking
for
ridiculous.
a Q-tip, they charge you $100. I mean, how do they get away with that?
Well, my quick answer is special interests shaping foreign and domestic policy. That's it. You have it's absolutely ridiculous. I got a prescription for Tussinex the other couple of weeks ago, and it was like 2 ounces of a fluid, and it was $151 or something. I mean, it was just like what's going on, and a lot of that is with the Affordable Health Care Act. Obama brought the pharmaceutical companies to the White House. He brought the insurance companies to the White House, and he said to the insurance companies, "We're not going to go for a single-payer system. Please don't stick a knife in my back." They left and immediately started sticking knives in his back. And he told the pharmaceutical companies, "Look, we're not going to try to negotiate for drug prices just like every other country in the world does. Please don't stick a knife in my back." And as soon as they left, they started sticking a knife in his back. He really made a fundamental error in he either underestimated the ability of these special interests to shape domestic policy, or he overestimated the goodwill that he thought people would have, like there would be a kumbaya moment and everybody would cooperate for the betterment of the citizens. It was bullshit.
Like the way Carter used to run his foreign policy until it blew up in his face.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, but it was terrible. And the big thing was, instead of identifying insurance companies as something that probably no other country has them like we have them, and instead of identifying that as a possible problem, he enshrined it as the mechanism for the solution, and that is absolutely absurd.
Well, the other thing is that these pharmaceutical companies have sweetheart patents. And part of the reason that they have them, and part of the reason why we have big pharma, why it has to be as big as it is it takes roughly 20 years to approve a new drug. So they have to, the cost of bringing a drug to market is so astronomical that no smaller competitor can really do it. And of course, the other downside to that is, in the 20 years that they're keeping very valuable and useful drugs off the market, people are dying. I mean, thousands of people could have been saved by beta blockers. They were tied up for 20 years.
Well, yeah, but Jeff, you have the flip side of that, which is obviously Lipitor, among many other examples, where Lipitor was given the green light as an anti-statin, reducing cholesterol, numbers go down, doctors get happy, everybody's happy with it, and then what happened? Muscle deterioration led to a substantial number of deaths. And
that's with the 20-year approval process.
No, Lipitor.
So, well, actually,
Jeff, wait, hold on. I don't think that your information is right with that, because that you said sweetheart patents, but patents have changed, and they since I don't know when they made that change. It might have been the mid-90s or something, but now it is, if I'm not mistaken, it is 20 years from the date of first regular national application, non-provisional regular national application. So if it takes 20 years to get it approved, the patent will run out.
Another 20. Well, no, you said from first.
No, the patent runs out.
First implementation would be after the drug is approved.
No, it's not. It's not first implementation. It's first regular national application. I mean, when they file the application. So
I thought you meant applied as a. Oh, okay,
no.
that's.
So it's a minor point, and I'm, I certainly don't want to press you on it, but Lipitor, I think, was approved in like 3 years or something.
Yeah, well, the one that I think it was ephedra, like some politically connected ones do get in. Like ephedra was Rumsfeld's, and his got approved very quickly, and of course it was actually that was a huge disaster too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. When Rumsfeld was, I can't remember. I didn't know if I had known we were going to talk about this, I would look some more of this stuff up. But yeah, Rumsfeld was. I'm pretty sure it was ephedra, and that got thrown through very quickly, and of course there were really bad problems. But overall, the politicization of this distorts things so badly, and
yeah, I agree.
So do you guys think we're ever going to repeal Obamacare, or that's just a Republican pipe dream?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard. That's the problem. That's why you don't want these things to go through, is because they get a life and a following and a constituency of their own, and
so that's a bad thing?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's definitely gonna change. I cannot see it staying the way that it is, in my opinion. But it'll morph and it'll change, and it is what it is. Now we've got it. Make the best of it, and I hope that people benefit from it. But it is incredibly, it's fun when I think about it, and there were so many holes in the policy that were just completely glossed over and ignored by the legislature. For example, there are no limits on deductibles and copays, and my belief is that the insurance company has now moved the business model. Instead of making money on premiums, that sort of thing, they've gone to the copay deductible model, where they are going to increase the copays and deductibles. And does it even matter if you have insurance anymore? I don't know.
Well, that was the other side of what I was talking about, as far as you mentioned catastrophic insurance. And kind of what we have on our car insurance is catastrophic insurance. So we don't get we tend to pay for the oil that we use in our cars, and oil changes and very minor repairs. I think after a year, my warranty was $100 deductible, so it didn't pay. Now if I take my car and it costs me something, and I usually pay for what gets done, but we pay for catastrophes, and that's what insurance is. Insurance isn't about, insurance pays. You want to buy insurance that covers you against things that you can't afford, and that's something that doesn't happen with employer-provided health care. You get you get. I go to the doctor. And I don't pay a damn cent, and I don't know what my checkup costs, and all that. So what you would want is catastrophic insurance, and what this does, it's going to mask the cost of things, because people are going to feel like they're getting something for free, but the costs are invisible. And if we had a system, if it was just if individuals could just buy health insurance tax-free, that would be an enormous step in the right direction, and have a lot to do with take the employer out of it. We get trapped. We have to work at a particular place because of insurance in a lot of cases. A friend of mine can't retire because he needs health care that he can't get on his own.
Yeah.
All of these things, they're anti-economic, and you can't change the laws of supply and demands. There's no such thing as a free lunch if you cost shift and all that to. I mean, basically, like my young friends, they had a catastrophic insurance policy that they were happy with and fit in their budget. But what this is all about is they want young people who don't use medicine to pay for older people who do use it, and that's what this is all about. It's just a pyramid scheme, and
is it a pyramid scheme, Pyong?
Yeah. It's the insurance company. But it's the insurance companies. That's what they're pushing.
But that's what Obama said. He wanted to open the pool so the prices would come down.
Well, see, that was gonna when I started to say that it was an abject failure. Obamacare was the Affordable Care Act was an abject failure. The reason I say that because his original justification. Remember, this was a long time ago, but his original justification that he gave in 2008 was that it would bankrupt our country. Healthcare costs would bankrupt our country. We have to do something about this. And now I don't think there's an economist worth their salt who would say that it has reduced healthcare costs by a penny. In fact, it's increased them.
And you can always put a cap on a price, but that does not happen in a vacuum. If you do that, you've created a shorted situation. You can say what you want. You can say what you want about the NHS in England and the Canadian system. But they do are plagued with shortages. They have doctor shortages. They have the UK is really bad. You can read about it in the Guardian, which is hardly a right-wing libertarian journal. You can read the horror stories about the NHS and the Canadian system. You can't compete. Nobody compete with it. It's against the law. I think in Canada and North Korea are the only two where it's actually against the law even to compete with the national system, and on this, John Stossel and people have reported on this all the time. But you can get your dog in for an X-ray like the next day because the vet services are private, but a person has to wait for an X-ray or an MRI or whatever it might be, sometimes for weeks on end. And there are people in the Canadian system who are in pain, but do they have to pay for it? No, but they can't. Fortunately, some wealthy Canadians tend to come to the U.S. and use the northern hospitals. Tend to have a lot of Canadians in them, especially specialist care tends to have that.
Well, I don't know. I know a lot of Canadians, and I've never heard any single one of them complain about health care. I mean, I have heard them complain about like sales tax and that sort of thing to pay for it, but I've never heard of them any.
You need to travel in my circles. I have lots of Canadian friends, and they complain about it loudly, and I have lots of friends in Scandinavia, UK. So, there is this thing about that's anecdotes, but
and it's kind of beside the point. I wasn't even talking about the quality of the healthcare systems of other countries. Right. I was just talking about the failure of the Affordable Care Act, or why it was bad.
Oh.
So, which I think we agree with. I think we agree.
Yes.
I mean,
I didn't know you only wanted to talk about that. We were sort of hitting on other things too, but there's a hospital in Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Surgery Center, that's been gotten a lot of airplay. They don't take insurance money at all. They're a bunch of doctors who got tired of basically working for the government, doing what the government and the insurance companies told them to do, and they open up the Oklahoma Surgery Center that takes no insurance money. It's all private. Their prices are on the web. They're about 10% of what they are, what the insurance companies pay out on them, and their story is quite remarkable. There have been a few reports on it if you ever get a chance to Google it. But one of the things the owner said, I remember from the interview, that he said he was so surprised about, is when they opened this, how many people from countries came to them that were Canada. They were places that had these nationalized health systems where people get health care for free, and of course this surgery center does very good work, but you have to pay for it. So it's just a really interesting
Oh, it is, Jeff. And I'd like to thank all our participants tonight, especially Isis, who just popped in. We talked so many subjects. I don't even remember what we talked about, but the last one was a good
It's gonna finish up pretty soon.
I'm going to go ahead and cap it for tonight, but I'd like to thank you all. Well, stay tuned for tomorrow's hangout. We're going to be talking about quack science, so I invite you all to join. Have a good night, y'all.